they also show the handcuffs that he brought when they're unpacking. And he brings out the fuzzy purple handcuffs. And she says
a few things.
What the hell is that? And he was like,
Purple handcuffs?
Purple handcuffs. And she's like, I'm not wearing those. Those are purple. And he's like, I know. That's my mom's favorite color. She's like, no.
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Two Queens, One Screen Podcast. I'm Keeley.
And I'm Jen.
Thanks for coming back. We're so glad you're here. How was your week, Jen?
Busy. And I am to blame for the late recording this week. I have middle schoolers who had holiday concerts, winter concerts for choir and band. And so I was not available to do it when we normally do it. So we're a little bit delayed. And they went really well. And it was also shocking. I'm curious if anyone else is going to any of these things, because I haven't been to them since I was in school. But for the first one, all the middle schoolers who were in between waiting to perform were just batshit crazy. And the next day, my son was like, I was like, oh, how was school? And he was like, oh, we went into band and the teacher just screamed at us for an hour because everyone was talking during the performance. I was like, yeah, there's no performance etiquette for the audience for these kids. And then the opposite happened, not the opposite, but at the choir concert, it was adults who were just insane. I mean, screaming at their kids, woo, go Haley! Like, Amberly! And you're like, shut up, Greg. Like, why is that adult man screaming and whistling? These are, sixth graders that are trying to sing, dreidel songs to us. Can you shut the fuck up? It was awful. Like, I was sitting there, the secondhand embarrassment that I had. And again, maybe it's because I'm in Florida and that's just how it goes here. But the lack of audience etiquette for these performances blew me away. It was insane. I don't know. If anyone else is experiencing that, I'm curious. If that's like a now thing, or if I'm like old now and I say, back in my day, we sat quietly. Or if that's in general. I don't know. How about you? How was your week?
My week was okay. I talked to my daughter, my poor daughter and grandkids. They're all sick.
Oh, no.
So they're just at home sitting on the couch rotting. But she told me a couple funny stories. So my grandkids are 5.5 and 2.5. The 5.5-year-old is a boy and the 2.5 is a girl. And they this week went out to dinner. And I don't know if you believe in zodiac signs or, how their personality is with zodiac signs. I do. So my grandson is a Pisces like myself. And my granddaughter, she's the 2.5. She's a Taurus like my husband. And they were at a restaurant eating dinner. And my granddaughter, who is the Taurus, had to use the restroom. She is potty trained. She wears big girl panties. They had to go to the bathroom. So my daughter gets up and takes her to the women's restroom. And they get to the ladies' room, which is just the one single restroom. And my daughter opens the door and my granddaughter turns around to the entire restaurant and says, does anybody else need to go potty? It's open.
Oh.
And my daughter's
How
like,
thoughtful.
no, nobody's going to go with us. And my grandson is like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, which is what I do. I don't like people. I don't want to talk to you. Please don't come over here. But my granddaughter is very social. She wants to be your friend. She wants to talk to you. And my grandson and I are like, please leave us alone. We don't want anything to do with you. My granddaughter, they go to Walmart, and my daughter will see a coworker of her husband's, and granddaughter's like, "Hey, we're over here. This is my brother. This is my mom." And my grandson is just like, "Could you please stop talking? He's coming over." It just is the funniest, cutest, sweetest thing on the planet. And my daughter has all of these fun stories that my 2.5-year-old granddaughter, who wants to be friends with everybody, and my poor 5.5-year-old grandson is just mortified, doesn't want to talk to anybody because he's like me.
What a fantastic dynamic that he's just going to be trying to rein her in for the rest of their childhood. It's just like, ugh. And she's that's amazing.
All over the place. It was great. She said it was really funny. And so they had a really good week before they all got sick. But I love my granddaughter. She is just so funny, and she's outgoing and wonderful. My grandson is outgoing and wonderful and fun also, but he won't go up and talk to an entire restaurant like my 2.5-year-old will. I don't do that either. My husband, on the other hand, will. Oh, yeah. He knows everybody. Everybody will talk to him. He can make friends with anybody. And
that's so true.
I don't.
It's funny how your dynamic is, and your husband, again, for anyone who doesn't know this, is my uncle.
Yes.
And I don't know, am I complimenting myself? Maybe. I think that I'm very much like Steve.
Yeah, probably.
He and I are very similar in that we can talk to anybody. Steve is almost to an extreme version of that. Yeah. Very, very outgoing. I would love to just follow Steve and your granddaughter around and just see, like, you would have 50 people at your house for dinner that night. Oh, yeah. And you would be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When the waitress came by, my daughter said, the waitress said, "Can I get anything else for you? How was your dinner?" And my granddaughter was like, "It was great. Did you need anything? Can I get you anything? Thank you for dinner." Bailey's like, "She's not talking to you, honey. Thank you for saying nice things to her." And the waitress is just like, "Okay, thank you."
What fantastic thoughtfulness and manners. Good for her.
Yes, and my grandson is just horrified. He just can't get away from all of this talking to people to save his life. He just wants to crawl under the table and go home.
Poor guy.
Oh, anyway. So I just love how different they are, and it's just so funny to me. Yeah.
It's crazy how different two kids can be, even though they're growing up in the same household. I have twins. I have twin boys who are, if we're going back to astrology, they are born the day before my husband's birthday. So all 3 of them are Geminis.
Oh.
Yeah. I have 3 male Geminis in my house. I don't really know what that means because I am an Aries and I only care about my sign. And I know that like your 3 main signs, it's like your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign or something. I know that they're all fire signs. If that tells you anything about me, I don't actually know. I haven't followed it enough. I skimmed it and went great. And then I haven't really looked up much into it beyond that, but
yeah, we had a good week though. That was fun.
Good. I'm so glad. They sound hilarious. I know that my dad really enjoys your grandkids because they enjoyed him. So the affection is mutual.
Oh, yes. My grandson was very excited with your dad. They had a lot of fun, that racetrack.
Oh, my God.
Oh, well, we should probably get into it, huh?
We have a lot.
We have a lot to talk about. Well.
So we talked about this last week. You primed us. You said Saucy was going to be good. It's Florida Man on Max. It is a fun show. Yes. And Saucy did not disappoint. Saucy did lean more into the Florida Man stereotype that I was expecting. But also somehow more twists and turns in it than Mermaids with Witches with Corrupt Cops. This is even more of a winding road.
Yes. Right.
I feel like. Fun fact, it starts in DeLand, which is genuinely, I think, 30 minutes north of me. Not far from me at all. Very close.
I had to look it up, people, because I didn't know DeLand was a place in Florida.
Yeah, it is it's near the Atlantic coast. Yeah. It's just south of Daytona Beach.
Yes.
And north of Orlando.
Yes. And we're meeting Derek and we're meeting Denver. And these two meet on a dating app. And they are two gems. Two men that I don't know how to describe them. They are gems.
An odd couple. I think an odd couple.
Yeah.
We've got.
How old was Denver? They never said how old he was, did we? I don't think they said.
No. Okay, so Derek, younger guy, sweetie, just very sweet, very fun. And then there's Denver, who is probably in his 60s, maybe when they met, but definitely in his 70s when they're doing these interviews now.
Yeah. And they meet on a dating website. Yeah. Like a Tinder, Hinge kind of
Grindr,
I think. Yeah.
It's for the boys. It was Grindr. And I don't know who played Derek, but Denver was played by Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
And he was great. Gosh, the reenactments are so good and they make it. It's so funny. And I like that their first date, they meet on Grindr and then they go on their first date to a Waffle House. Romance. So that tells you, and that does kind of sum up their relationship for you of like hot dated to the Waffle House. And then Denver takes Derek on his second date to a nude beach. Which I'm like 99% sure I know which nude beach they went to. So if anyone wants to know, send us a DM. I will tell you how to get there.
Yep. Yes.
You're not going to see what you want to see, but there will be things to see.
Yep. There was probably some BBC there, which I think the producer, the interviewer wanted Denver to explain what it was.
And he wouldn't.
And he wouldn't
say it.
I had to look it up, people. I looked it up.
Did you really?
I did.
Keely. It's big. And like Derek, it's black.
Yes.
And C, what are they looking for?
You could probably figure it out, everybody.
On Grindr. That starts with C. Okay. But that's what it was. Just putting it. I love that you Googled that. You're the cutest. Look at you in your little strawberry shirt.
Yes. Look at my shirt. I had to look it up.
Oh my god. Oh, I love that so much for you. Oh. So this turns into a relationship between the two, and at first young Derek was like, this is just going to be a friendship. We're just going to be friends. And Denver's like, I want the BBC. And eventually, through just perseverance and financial assistance, Denver does convince Derek to have a more romantic relationship.
Yes, so he moves into the Empire. The Empire.
The Empire being a trailer that Denver bought for $2,400. But he like, I mean, this is buying a home this day and age. Huge deal.
Absolutely.
And let's be honest, the way the housing market is going, I bet that thing is worth at least $100,000 right now.
At least.
Plus, he's put a lot of work into it. He's very proud of his home. He's put a lot of care into putting it, fixing it up and making it nice. So he calls it his empire. And it's not just an empire in the sense of this home that he's built for himself, but also it's inhabited by people that come in and out.
That's right.
Usually homeless people.
Yes.
That he's trying to help out. Denver has a very good heart.
Yes, he
Denver
does.
is really trying to, he's been, down and out, and he sees it and he goes, all right, I'm going to help these people out. And he just keeps doing it, even though occasionally they rob him and it doesn't go well.
But it's a little.
But he genuinely feels like he can help them, and I think that's lovely.
That's right.
Good for Denver.
Good for Denver.
So Derek has moved in with Denver, and he gets a job at Red Lobster. So things, Derek's getting a little bit more settled than I think he was before, which is great. And this is where this weird little couple starts to hit some rocky roads, because Derek meets John at Red Lobster.
Yes.
And John and he have a connection. And John is also a drag queen.
Yes.
And not even really a drag queen, because as Derek puts it, he's like, he just put on a wig.
Yep.
It's not really doing that much. He just put a wig on.
He just dresses in drag from time to time.
And just occasionally dresses in drag. But as Derek's dating John, he's also still dating Denver.
Yes.
Denver's getting jealous. Although they have kind of maybe an open relationship. It doesn't sound like it ever was completely defined. And it sounds like John was spending time over at Denver's house. And that sets Denver off.
Yes.
And they get into a big fight.
Several big fights. The cops are called. And the reasons the cops get called, I'm sure they're not if you were a police officer, would you enjoy getting the calls that there's a domestic dispute because someone poured out a 12-pack of beer? No.
Would you? I feel like if it's a slow night, I would just go kind of watch. Make sure it's not going to escalate and just kind of enjoy the show.
Sure. I can go take a look and see, what brand of long necks they're pouring out, maybe. Just go see. Take a look.
They would ruin each other's food.
They would. They'd pour sugar in the gas tanks of their cars.
That seems really bad, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that destroy your car?
I'm pretty sure it does. You're not supposed to do that.
No. They're just in no fun. They're pranking each other, getting a lot of fights.
Yes.
Calling the cops on each other.
Yes.
It's just, it's created a lot of tension in what used to be a very sweet relationship between the two of them.
Yes.
And Denver escalates it to the point of no return when he says something to Derek about his dead mom.
Yeah. Unfortunate. He's just very upset about the cross-dresser in his house. You bring the cross-dresser in my house. You pour out my long neck beers. Yeah.
You're done.
You're done. That's it.
They're broken up.
Yes.
Derek leaves.
Yes.
And
Derek decides he's gonna go steal from Denver. He's gonna go steal some things out of the trailer. So
he plans in his mind, when he started this, it was an amazing heist.
Yes.
This
Absolutely.
was next level wet bandit, I'm gonna do this kind of heist. He's got a getaway car.
Yep.
The reality, it's just John, and John doesn't really want to do any of this.
No.
He's gonna go have this robbery. He's taking a TV, the air conditioning unit, and a vacuum, which high dollar items, but then he has this inspiration. He is going to blow up this trailer.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think this reminds us of Gator when we look at, they never explicitly say that there's drug use. But I think there's pretty clearly some drug use happening because his fantastic idea is, if moisture hits hot oil, then there's an explosion.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think that's exactly how it works. I don't think that that's exactly how it works, but he sets up this scene that I think only meth can help brew in your brain, where you're like, hot oil and ragu. He takes spaghetti sauce and he takes a rag and he links them like they're going to fuse in the middle, and it's like a time bomb and he's just going to get out of there.
Yes.
And it doesn't work out.
No. It just causes some smoke. Yep.
Just some smoke. The neighbors call, there's some smoke. The cops get there, get the smoke under control. They call Denver and say, hey, Denver, something's going on in your trailer. And he's like, oh, God. Luckily, he's driving his dump truck.
His work
Trash truck?
I think. Yeah.
His work truck. He's able to get there in time that not only is his house okay, but Derek realized that he accidentally left a clue that will link him to the crime, which is his cigarettes.
Yes.
They will find those cigarettes and they will know that it was him, so he's got to go back and get it. So they go back to get it, and the cops are already there. And Denver's like, it was that guy and the cross-dresser. So they get arrested. And somehow they are so angry at each other. There's this intense sense of justice that Denver has about all of this until they're actually in court. Because they're not charging the cross-dresser John.
Yeah.
Denver decides to change his story and drop the charges against Derek. And now Derek made it free. And he's home and he's out.
Yeah.
Sweet, sweet love story. Although maybe they're not totally together anymore.
Yeah, so Derek lives in a little tent on the property of the Empire. He doesn't live in the trailer with him, but he lives on the property. Sees Derek, I'm sure, every day.
They have dinner together. They have spaghetti and ragu. Together.
And then Derek's sister brings up the last little story that Derek shot Denver in the face with a pellet gun. Because I think Derek thought somebody was trying to get into his tent or into the Empire. And it was just tent, Denver coming home from work. So he shot him.
And he got shot in the face.
He just got shot in the face. This is just typical. This is just what people do in DeLand, Florida. This is what we do here.
It just happens.
We're going to burn down a trailer with a bottle of ragu. We bring a cross-dresser in the house to our boyfriend's house, and our boyfriend doesn't like it.
No, because while Denver is maybe the most forgiving man,
yes,
he has a line that you can't cross.
That's his line.
Can't bring a cross-dresser in.
No,
you can get all over Hinge looking for some BBC. And then take a young man to a nude beach.
Yes.
Just north of Cape Canaveral. What on earth? It's just, they just keep circling back to each other.
They do.
They genuinely seem to enjoy each other's company.
They do.
But they're also constantly low stakes, chaotically abusive to each other.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's just a theme of like what tonight is for us, of what the relationships that we're talking about.
Sure. Why not?
In general.
Why not?
This is what I'm saying. I enjoy these shows and I enjoy 90 Day Fiancé because I watch them and I go, well, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I've never tried to burn down a house with ragu.
Yes.
I've never shot anyone in the face with a pellet gun.
That's amazing.
I've never purposely gone to a nude beach on a date.
Nope. Yeah.
Although, I'm not single. Maybe if I was single, I'd feel differently about that. But have you been to a nude beach?
I have not been to a nude beach. I wouldn't mind going.
See, I think that you should come one more time during the winter time when it's nice and cool. We are in the 60s and 70s. There is no humidity. We'll go to a nude beach and a mermaid show.
Are you freezing to death at 60 degrees? Are you dying?
I'm so cold.
Everybody stop it.
Sweater. I've got my thick sweatery socks. What is that?
I can't with you at 60 degrees. It is
so
like
cold.
15
It's
degrees
so cold.
outside here. I can't with you at 60 degrees. I'm going to bop you on the
My
head.
blood has thinned.
No.
My blood has thinned.
No. We're going. Okay. We're shifting over to the last resort because there's so much to talk about.
So Keeley turned me on to, and thank God I needed the extra time this week because she turned me on to the show after Between the Sheets.
So everybody go watch that too. It's so good.
And if you haven't, I think we're just going to kind of intermingle them together. So. There's so much. This show, I was saying, could be 12 hours long. There's so much that even in the hour and a half, 2 hour long episodes, I don't know how long the episodes actually are, but they feel long.
Yeah.
Then you find out that there's this whole other layer of stuff that they didn't even tell us about that they did. And the number of deleted scenes, it's great. It's really fun to watch, but you need to watch both of them to kind of get a better idea of what's going on. Yeah. And I think get a better perspective of some of these people.
Yeah, it really helps a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I think it's giving us a couple little hints here and there of who's still together at the end and who isn't. Mm-hmm. Because they are in the Between the Sheets recapping parts of the episode, deleted scenes, and this is all after the fact. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really good.
But let's just dive in to episode 2 of Last Resort.
Yeah, they call it The Last Straw. So this one, they go on an off-campus activity with Heidi and James.
So Heidi and James are the new therapists. Mm-hmm. And Heidi is trying to run defense between Ari and Benny, who are a mess. Benny couldn't stay in the same room with her. They couldn't be together. And then James the therapist. Yeah. I love him.
I do too.
So much.
I do too.
And I didn't realize because I was a little annoyed with him because he was really babying, and I felt like he was pacifying and really kind of patronizing during the activity, which we'll talk about in a second. But then in the Between the Sheets, when they're recapping stuff with him and they're showing him deleted scenes, he is so messy. Like, he is so ready to go, oh my God, did you see them? And he will talk shit about them. I mean, and he's still a therapist and he's still thoughtful, but he's like, let's dig into this weirdness that they had. And you're like, I would love to. Yeah. I would love to just sit down with him and talk to him about it because he's funny. When he's in it with them, he's a good therapist. I think he's in a situation where he has to baby them because the situations are so intense. He's not calling them out the way I wish that they would. But at the same time, he's messy and he's got really good Botox.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know if you noticed his forehead never moves. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, they take them off campus. They drive them out into the middle of nowhere, into the middle of the desert, which is so gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It's so pretty. And they're out in the middle of the desert and they're going to go on a hike, which I think only a couple of them have ever been on a hike before ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
They're given these backpacks and there's a giant pile of rocks. They've got to each pick up 2 rocks and write the thing that they need or the problem in their marriage. They both have, then they give each other one of the rocks. So they're carrying not only the burden of their problem, but then they're also taking their spouse's problem. And they have to climb up, do a long hike up a mountain. And when they get to the top of the mountain, they're going to talk about it. And they go off in teams. Who do you want to go through first? None of them are low stakes is the craziest part.
No. Well, let's do Rob and Sophie first.
Oh, okay.
I know.
So in my opinion, Rob the Knob came back. You said that you would come back to him. What do you think about him this episode?
No, he did. He did come back a little bit, and I was a little confused. I kept writing in my notes. I wrote confused. I was confused about the whole thing. They didn't explain it very well, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. What the hell was going on? He was very tantrumy. you didn't tell me what was going on, and I'm
Right.
really mad
And
at you.
It seemed like it came out of nowhere. He's all of a sudden the therapists are explaining what they're about to go do, the hike that they're about to go do, and he's standing there with his arms crossed, going, "You lied to me. You've been lying to me for 2 years."
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. And there's no context to it. There's no build up.
Yeah.
They edited this in such a way that we're like, wait, what just happened? Where did this come from? And Sophie's like, it was when I was 14. So the gist that I got from it is Rob is upset because he found out that Sophie lied to him about having sex with her friend Callum. Callum was her friend since childhood. They had sex when they were 14. She told Callum, and Rob saw a text message that said, "Don't tell Rob we had sex." But they had sex back when she was 14.
And that's it? That's all we're talking about?
I do feel like, okay, so overall, Sophie's side right now. But then she brought Callum to the US to meet Rob. And Rob was like, there's something between you guys. Like, something's going on here. And she's like, no. And then she gets Callum to be like, we're just friends that, maybe kissed a little bit, but it's back when we were children. Don't worry about it. And they kind of gaslit him and said, no, we've never had sex.
Okay.
Is it any of Rob's business who she had sex with before they got together? I would typically say no. But she brought Callum in and said, all right, we're friends. This is my friend that you have to accept.
Gotcha.
She knew he would have a hard time with that, which, again, that's a Rob-Sophie problem, like, equally, I think, that he's going to have a problem with it. So she lied. And he's upset that she lied because throughout their whole relationship, she's like, I've always been honest. I've never lied to you. And he's like, well, now what else has she lied about? Because she's always had the upper hand because she's always said she never lied where I did lie. And now I don't feel like I can trust her at all. And he is up in arms. She is standing firmly in the idea that I don't owe you an explanation. I'm not going to justify what I did when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
He doesn't care whether or not, I think maybe he does. I think he does. But he's saying it's not about whether or not you had sex. It's about the fact that you lied to me about whether or not you did it. I don't know, because I can understand him feeling like you lied to me. I don't think he necessarily deserved an answer to that question in the first place. I don't know that that's any of his business.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that she's like, hey, he's going to come hang out with him. And it's like, well, it's awkward because you fucked him. Like, I don't know. It's a mushy, messy, tangled web that I think they're both assholes.
I think it's a mushy, tangled web that honestly didn't have to even happen. And second, Sophie is like 23 years old. This is what she's going to do. And I'm not excusing it, but she's immature. This is what immature people do. She's 23 fucking years old. And what is Rob, 30 something? I don't remember how old he is. He's 30 whatever years old. And he's, in theory, more mature than she is. Again, I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm not excusing anyone's behavior, but she is younger than he is. Of course, she's not going to tell him, first of all. Second of all, none of this needed to happen. And yeah, I was annoyed that he was doing all of this at this point. When James was, I did like how James handled the whole thing. He was trying to get Rob to calm down. He was like, just stay here. And then he followed Sophie. And then he said, this is very
because she ran off.
Yes.
They're supposed to start this hike. And Rob's like standing in one place. And Sophie runs away. Yeah.
She's like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm not even doing this activity. So James chases her. He stops her and he says, look, this is triggering him. You have to understand that. I need you to stay. And he was helping both of them, but he wasn't excusing Rob and he wasn't excusing Sophie. But I really liked that he was doing and saying what he was saying to the both of them. And I liked how he brought the both of them back together. But Yeah, that was ridiculous and stupid. None of that had to happen.
So
at all.
melodramatic.
Completely melodramatic. And I agree with you. I don't think it needed to happen, and he didn't even need to know, honestly.
Yeah. I think the fight is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think here's the part that I was irritated with James, the therapist, about. When he gets Sophie and he's like, don't you want to fix this? Let's fix this.
Yeah.
Here's what you say. You say, this is a lot of information. This is a lot of confusing feelings. I'm sorry that you're feeling hurt, which I feel like is the opposite of how I've been told to apologize. Like, I'm sorry that you feel hurt is, I feel condescending. But it was literally just, it was a Band-Aid on the situation. And what's hilarious is, so they finally get them to go. James walks them up the hill. And it's a long hike. It must have been a couple hours.
Oh, yeah.
This hike that they had to do. And they were supposed to do it in couples, pairs. They're paired with Brandon and Julia, who we'll talk about in a second. But they're supposed to take their rocks, their heavy-ass rocks, up the mountain. And at the top of the mountain, they need to compromise to see if they can solve for this burden that they're carrying, their own and each other's. Sophie's was compassion, which just set him off. Yeah. Just set off Rob. And he's like, it's real cute that she wants compassion when she's been lying to me. And you're like, shut the fuck up, Rob.
Yeah.
And that was when the therapist was like, he was like, what do you think of that she said this and what she's asking for? Because she had said, I think I need to be more compassionate to him as well. And he's like, it's the first time I've really seen her show that she's willing to put effort into this relationship because I haven't been seeing it. So it meant a lot because I really haven't. And then James is like, Rob, let's stick with that. It really meant a lot that she said that. It did mean a lot. Like, he's just cutting off. He's not letting her do his like pissy little thing. He like stops it. So that's healthy. But also, Rob is such a little bitch. Oh, so annoying. Rob wants more transparency. His rock, he wrote transparency. Her rock, compassion. And they both say, yeah, we can do better on these things. Let's make a real effort. And so they both get to release their rocks, which is the point. So that then as they walk back down, they've released that. So they don't have to carry that burden, which I think I like the symbolism of it. Yeah. And it did really great things for TV. The other couple that they went with, Julia and Brandon, they pick up their rocks. We don't know until they get to the top of the mountain. Julia picks a giant fucking rock.
Oh, it's the size of his head. It's huge.
It is so big. I think it's bigger than his head.
It's heavy. It's so heavy.
She's like, and he was like, you did that on purpose. She's like, yeah, I wanted him to really feel how seriously I take this. And she let him carry that thing. They're already pissed off because they were all supposed to go together. They missed out on a few of the as you're walking up the mountain activities because of Rob and Sophie. So Julia's pissed off. But they make their way up, and when they get to the top, they get the added bonus of having the therapist there to kind of guide them through the process. So you think that this would make things go better. And first episode, I was like, Julie and Brandon, I vote for them. I think they're going to make it. Her gigantic ass rock for him was parents. And my first thought was, is it because his mom's being intrusive?
Yeah.
We hear from her about Brandon's mom being fucking intrusive.
Yeah.
What were the things she did? She like sent them, this was the between the sheets, they tell us, they get into their resort and they walk in and there's this big bouquet of flowers. Oh my gosh, you got me flowers. She's so touched. And he's like, no, I didn't. His fucking mom sent them roses to their marriage boot camp because he is so attached to his mother that he sent her, this is where we're going and this is the room that we're staying in. So, and she sent them flowers. Creepy as fuck. I would be pissed. I don't know. Maybe I have in-law.
No, you don't, because they also show the handcuffs that he brought when they're unpacking. and he brings out the fuzzy purple handcuffs, and she
He brings
says,
a few things.
"What the hell is that?" And he was like,
Purple handcuffs?
"Purple handcuffs." And she's like, "I'm not wearing those. Those are purple." And he's like, "I know. That's my mom's favorite color." She's like, no. I almost fell off my couch in my own house when she said that. What kind of psychopathy do you have to have when you're buying sex toys that it's your mother's favorite color, Brandon?
So that was egregious.
Yes.
He's like, "Why aren't we having sex?" Baby or not, I suddenly really understand why she's like withholding her intimacy from him. There's a few layers of it.
Yeah.
There's also the first gift that he gives her when they get to the hotel room after she was disappointed to see the flowers were not from him.
Yeah.
Then he gives her a razor.
Oh my God.
So she can shave downtown.
Yeah. You know, everybody listen. I am all about the girlscaping and the manscaping. I don't, you know what, the 70s bush, right? I don't know. I think we should, trim it, make it look nice. I think we should be doing that. But
wait, so are you pro or anti 70s bush?
No, anti. Okay. The man does not need to be looking when we're down here. We don't need to find things to no, we're not on a Girl Scout hunt to find it. I mean, come on. We can take care of it. We can maintain it. We don't have to have this thick of a bush to go down there. So I get sort of the razor-ish idea, but
to give it to her in
horrifying.
That way.
Yes. No, we don't do it on national television. No.
It went flowers, razors, handcuffs.
What?
She has got to be drier than that desert they were hiking.
God.
So gross. So gross.
No.
Oh.
No.
I was kind of on Brandon's side. Like, I liked him. And then the Between the Sheets and this episode made me go, not at all. Like, I could, not that I agreed with him, but I could almost see his point. I could, no, like I almost like Rob more than I like Brandon at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Oh, so awful. So embarrassing.
But yeah, so I thought when she had her big ass fucking rock, I went ding, ding, ding. No, it wasn't for his mom. It was for her parents.
Yeah.
And she said, I want you to help me get my parents here to the U.S. together. And that seems reasonable. But then he explains why he's not being helpful for that. And that is her parents are divorced and they are not like amicable at all. They fight like cats and dogs. And Brandon's like, that sounds like a nightmare. I don't want to bring that into my life. So I kind of get it.
You can have your mother doing what your mother is doing, and that is okay. I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. He can't have it both ways. Nope. Nope.
It is very much a pattern in their relationship.
Yeah.
He's not giving to her much at all, but he's asking for a lot. You find out in the first episode where he's like, where are my socks? Like, how many? And she's like, are you fucking serious? And she was like, I told you to pack your socks and panties. And he's like, but you packed everything else. She's like, yeah, I packed everything else for you. I told you to pack your socks and panties. I'm not your mother. She said to him, I'm not your mother.
Yeah.
And so he has no socks or panties because he didn't pack them for himself. And then he wants this baby. And she's like, he doesn't do it. They have dogs. She's like, he does nothing for the dogs. He's like, well, she goes out of town and I do it. But the rest of the time I don't because I go to work. Okay.
What?
But like, you're not doing any of the work for any of this. You're not showing her.
Right.
that you're going to be part of this. So of course she's like, I don't want to have another baby. I have my dogs and I have him. I don't want to have to baby anyone else. And then she's also got the constant, his mother coming in and flipping around their toilet paper. So she and her mother-in-law are on different sides of the debate of which way does the toilet paper go. So when you put it on the wall, here's the toilet paper. Her mom wants the toilet paper against the wall. I think it should be hanging forward. Which way do you do?
Oh, I don't care either way. It doesn't matter in our house. I don't have an opinion. I don't.
Fucking anarchy chaos is your home. I've been to your house. Your house is so clean and nice. You guys don't have it. Their house is spotless. And it is so organized.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion.
And it goes everywhere but the toilet paper. Whereas
it would probably be over if I had to pay attention. I really don't like to grab it from underneath. It would have to be over.
So, my house is the opposite. It is chaos everywhere, but you can always know that the toilet paper will be.
Yeah, it has to
going
be.
over.
I guess over. Yeah.
Yeah. So Julia and I agree, and she and her mother-in-law will flip it back and forth throughout her mother-in-law visiting, like several times during a visit. That's insane to me. So, Brandon's carrying that fucking rock back down the mountain, that boulder that she gave him, and he wants his rock says baby, which we already know he wants a baby. Poor therapist John is like, so do we have a compromise that we can find here? Maybe Brandon, you could be more supportive as she's trying to go through this process with the parents. And he's like, and then he's like, well, what about you? Are you open to having more of a conversation about the baby? She's like, we've had a conversation about the baby. He's like, well, you used to be open about, talking about it and interested. And she's like, I said I would have a conversation. I said I would open to a conversation, but I don't want one. The answer is no. And he's like, well, if you're not going to give me a baby, I'm not going to help you with this. And then it's like, well, then we're carrying the rocks back down the mountain. I didn't see that coming.
Unbelievable.
And I don't know how you compromise on either of those things.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That is gender specific, right? That is what that is. They both have to agree. There's really no compromise because that's what their life is gender specific roles. He's not going to take care of that baby. If he doesn't take care of dogs, he's not going to take care of a human. No. So that's what that is.
I was very disappointed with him, and I was just not a fan of him after watching that. Too. And then after watching him on the Between the Sheets either, he gets very like bro-y in a way that he's like a Timu Ed Norton. Like he doesn't deserve to like act the way that he. Yeah. No, I'm not into it.
Yeah, it was very weird with Rob.
Yeah, I didn't like it. He was calling Florian a bitch because Florian was like, I'm tired. I don't want to have sex with Stacy. And Stacy was like in the negligee. Oh, yeah. Trying to like seduce him. She's like, I'll give you a striptease. And he's like,
would you do that though? Would you have sex when you know that there's cameras in the hotel room? No. I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't have sex. I don't know. I would real world road rules it. You put the blanket up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I tell you that all of those couples are pigs in those rooms? Those rooms are disgusting.
I wrote it down. The rooms are a mess. Mm-mm. Do you know whose room is nice? Gino's and Jasmine's.
Yeah.
They keep their room tidy. Yeah. Their room is tidy. Whereas Rob and Sophie.
Oh. Worse.
Those children.
Mm-mm.
Children.
Terrible.
Mm-mm.
Terrible.
Not okay. Okay. So, who do you want to go over next?
Let's do Natalie and Josh.
Natalie is such a villain. And it's funny because she literally goes into a thing where she talks about how she wants to be Josh's Cinderella, but he called her Maleficent. And she's like, but I'm a monster. He wants to leave in the woods. And it's like, yeah. She genuinely behaves like a villain. She is dirty and mean and insane.
Oh, yeah.
So they go up the mountain, and her big thing with Josh is she wants access. She wants more access to him in his day-to-day life. She wants to be able to know what's going on more. She wants to be able to see his house. That's what she's like, the compromise I'm looking for. I want you to take me to your house and take me on a tour, which I think was actually a very reasonable thing to say.
Yeah.
Except, should we both like see if we can do who can make her face when she says that she wants to investigate? I want to go and I want to investigate. And she like leans down. I can't do her crazy eyes. I'm going to investigate. I want to.
Ari did it
and
pretty
she's like,
good in Between the Sheets.
Ari does. She does a good one. God, just crazy eyes. She gets, you don't go like this. I'm going to investigate your, I want to. Jesus Christ, that's creepy. Yeah. She's scary.
Yeah.
That's why they haven't broken up, because he's terrified.
Yeah.
That's not even true. I think he loves drama. I think he likes it.
What did he write on his rock?
We don't know. I went back and rewatched.
Thank you.
He didn't
Me
say.
Too. Okay. Thank you. Don't know.
He didn't say. All I know is the compromise that, oh no, he did. I think he said he felt like she was smothering him.
Oh.
And
I must have missed that.
It was so quick.
Okay.
He said that he felt, I think it was in between the sheets, and he felt smothered by her, and so he carried that rock back down.
Okay.
But they did throw the access, because he said, if we're still together in 3 weeks, then I'll take you on a tour. And she was like, great, I'll take it.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So, all right. I mean, they're the most non-couple. They've been together for 3 years. She's never been to his house. We learned in Between the Sheets that she texts him like 1,000,000 times all day long.
What are you doing?
And what are you doing? Where are you? Who are you talking to? He's like, I'm putting my daughter down to bed. Send me a picture of that. And he's like, I'm not sending you a picture of this.
I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No
thanks.
Gross. But he's, at the same time, he's like financing her life. He's like, she has access to me financially. So he's paying for her house, or helping with her house, medicine, her hair, her car, gas. He's paying for all of these things. And he's like, that's enough, right? And she's like, no, I want to investigate.
No.
Ugh. I don't know. I don't understand them. I do in a way. I had a friend that was a stripper, and she was just batshit crazy. And it was fun because you get like really weird text and you hear these really weird stories, but it does get exhausting. So the fact that he's done this for 3 years, I think is impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, and then the only thing that they don't have a problem with is their sex life.
Yes.
She said that their relationship is 70% sex and 2% we fight. And he said, actually, it's 75% fighting, which ruins everything else. And she goes, well, you're just too sensitive. And you're like, oh my God. It is funny that with him and then with Gino, and he and Gino are paired up in Between the Sheets, and they're a fun little duo.
Yeah.
Both he and Gino are like, we need to have like an emotional connection to be able to connect physically. They're with like these two women who their identity is their sexuality.
Yeah.
And they're like, be nice to me first. Talk to me nicely. You're like, you're dating a blow-up doll. How dare you?
Right.
Oh, you're rejecting these women, and that's literally what they brought to the table.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're weird. And what is crazy is they go all the way back down the mountain, and they're taking the buses back. Sophie and Rob are in the van with a couple other people, including Josh and Natalie, right?
Yes.
And Natalie turns around, seemingly out of nowhere, and there's different versions of this story. Rob and Sophie are like, this was out of nowhere, and agree on that. Natalie is like, no, we had a conversation. It was just continuing the conversation that we were having. so she turns to Rob after Sophie had kind of explained to everyone why she ran away when they were supposed to be hiking, and they were kind of making light of it. But then Natalie turns to Rob and goes, I think you love her more than she loves you. And I see you putting in all of this effort and she's not putting in that effort for you. And it's not fair. And Rob is just, and I think he said, like, even though it's coming from batshit crazy Natalie, it was nice to hear that somebody was on my side. Someone else sees what Sophie's doing to me.
Yeah.
But it was immediately after Rob had given Sophie just the most surface compliment. And I think you just watch Natalie go, like, did he just compliment her? I'm going to take her out.
Yeah.
And she just eviscerates Sophie. And Sophie's like, well, I think all of us are dealing with things. And I think we're all trying to figure this out. And yeah, I didn't make the best choices, but I'm trying my best. And Natalie's like, well, I said what I said. And I think that and she just rips her apart. It just was so similar to me when Natalie ripped apart the girl at the front desk.
Yeah.
Right? And she was like, oh, maybe we exchange information in case he comes to stay here alone. I'm watching you. She is so jealous.
Yeah.
And she is so reactive.
Yeah.
It's like a little scary. And it's impressive. Like I'm almost in awe of her. It's impressive. While also being insane. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Not healthy. I don't know. It's fun to watch that couple because they make no sense. And they had gone up the mountain with Benny and Ari.
That was hard to watch.
What was your reaction? It was so hard to watch. So what was your reaction in kind of the way they were interacting?
Ari was trying again. She was, I want to give her kudos because she, like we said last week, she was so angry. She was coming in hot, right? Mm-hmm. She's telling everybody how horrible Benny is, right? Mm-hmm. He's just this saying negative, 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 right? And everybody else was like, damn, why are they even here? She can't say one nice thing about him. So that's the first thing I picked up on is she literally was trying to be nice. She was trying to be softer around the edges. They were trying to do the piggyback thing up on the mountain, right? We tried that, but the rock was kind of digging into his back and he didn't want to do that. I mean, that's here nor there. Okay, she tried that. I saw them holding hands, right? They're walking up the mountain. They're holding hands, right? We did that a little bit. So then they stop to talk about their rocks, right? And she wants to hold his hand and do the eye gazing thing. And I'm thinking, this is not going to go well.
Right.
Because he cannot, he can't look at her.
Her rock's affection.
Yeah. Hers was affection.
Could you do the eye gazing?
No. Oh, fuck no.
I mean.
No. Even if I had Steve, I'd be like, no.
I love my husband.
No.
Maybe it's the ADHD.
Yeah.
I would be so bored. I think.
Yep.
And Ari's like, I'm an eye gazer.
So
and she does have those gigantic eyes.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm really good at this. I could do this all day long. And you're like, this is uncomfortable. And he's telling her rock is affection. Mm-hmm. His rock is respect. That's what he wants. And it was very cute. He had to ask her how to spell it. And I think she was like, oh, he wants respect. And I feel like she heard that.
Yeah.
And she really was, her tone when she was talking to him, she was asking him very clearly for what she needed. And I messed up. I said that they walked with Natalie. They did not walk with Natalie. They walk up with Stacy and Florian.
Oh, that's right.
And Florian gives Stacy a piggyback ride. It's actually a very sweet thing. And Ari was literally in the middle of expressing to Benny, I need more affection from you. I need more physical contact. You showed up at the resort and you hugged everyone and then you shook my hand. I'm your wife. I want physical affection. And Benny is very resistant to that, but he's like, maybe I could do that more the way that you're talking to me. I really like it. Like she saw They went through the respect. She's really taking that note. And she's like, let's do this. And you just see him like check out.
Yes.
And she's like, look at them. They're doing a piggyback ride. Let me do it. Give me a piggyback ride. And you know that he can. He's so strong. But she jumps on his back and he's like, no, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I'm tired. And the rock hurts. And no, not right now.
Yep.
And she won't let it go.
Yeah.
So what started as this very positive direction, he's like, she just needs to control me. She decides that she wants this and she won't listen to me.
Yep.
And so I saw his side too. I saw her really make a strong effort. And then I saw her just panic when she's like, oh, we're making progress. Oh, we're making progress. And he was holding her hand. And then she didn't get what she wanted. And it just kind of like crumbled. And then so she went right back to square one.
Yeah.
And he was like kind of giving her a little bit. And then he had just reached his threshold. He wasn't quite there yet. And wasn't comfortable and was so clearly uncomfortable. And he's like, she's not respecting that I said I don't want to do that right now. Mm-hmm. And so it's just this impasse that they're at of like, can she give him the freedom that he's asking for? Can she give him the space? Can she let him come to her? Like, he's a cat. Like, can you let him be the cat and like come to you? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work for them. It was sad.
Yeah, it
because
was
you just
really
saw the effort.
Sad to watch. It was very hard to watch. It was very awkward to watch. He at one point finally admitted he feels trapped. And right then and there, I instantly knew that he doesn't want anything to do with her. He absolutely does not want anything to do with her. And I thought of that movie, I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 10 years ago, where it has the actor Justin Long in it. If a man wants you, he's going to do everything in his power to be with you. He's going to call you. He's going to be around you. He's going to make an effort to be near you. Benny does not want Ari. He doesn't want anything to do with her. And that is perfectly fine. Just because they have a child together has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't matter. And people don't seem to understand that. People seem to think that because two individuals have a child in common, that they have to stay together, that they have to be in each other's lives. And you don't have to have that. You absolutely do not have to have a relationship at all. You don't. You don't have to like that person. You don't have to live in that same city. You don't have to live in that same state. You don't have to live on the same side of the country. He absolutely does not want anything to do with her. And you absolutely could tell that. He couldn't look at her. He couldn't touch her. He didn't want to be in the same bubble with her at all. And you absolutely can tell that. She, on the other hand, I think still has feelings for him. This is what I think. Watching her, she still has feelings for him. I think she can't admit it because she has been hurt so bad by him, and she feels guilty somehow, or it feels wrong to say out loud that someone who has treated her so poorly, that she still loves that person, right? It doesn't feel right to go, I love a person that has treated me so poorly, right? You don't want to admit that out loud because everybody is going to go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Everybody's going to look at you and go, you're wrong because he's treated you badly. You're supposed to go, you're not supposed to like him anymore. And that just doesn't happen like that. You can't just turn off who you love anymore. You just can't. So I think her anger comes from the fact that she still loves him. Because you know why? Because that's how I felt. I can see everything she's doing because that's what happened to me. Because my husband, when all of that happened with me, I instantly became angry because I couldn't reconcile with myself I was so mad all the time that I was still in the relationship, that I was still there taking the phone calls. I was still there answering the door. I was still there when he was coming around. And I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? And I couldn't admit to myself that I was still in love with him. And the fact that I thought, well, because I was in love with him, that somehow that would cure everything and be fine. And it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
She is not in that spot where she can admit this stuff to herself yet. And
No.
it comes across as being controlling, and I don't think that's what she's doing. I just don't.
I think she's by like the skin of her teeth, like she is clawed into this hope that she will be with. I think she cares about Benny. I think there's also, this is the father of my child. Going back to what you were saying earlier, I think she wants that desperately.
Mm-hmm.
And so it turns into this, like, he's like trying to get away and she's just trying to claw him back in. And it's desperation. Yeah. Like, you see her just desperate, and also these conflicting things of, I really want this to work. Yep. He's such a fucking asshole and I can't trust him. How would this ever work? And I'm glad that she's there with the therapist.
Oh, yeah.
To hopefully sort, I don't think 3 weeks is enough, but they're doing it every day. Yeah. She needs to find some sort of comfort and peace with the fact that she and Benny are not going to happen. Yeah. And Benny needs to be honest. Mm-hmm. And he needs
to look at her and go, I don't love you. And that's okay. And she needs to turn around and look at herself and go, that's okay that he doesn't love me. It doesn't mean that she's not a good person. Because that he doesn't love her anymore doesn't mean that she's not a good person. She just needs to understand that. And the fact that they have a child together doesn't mean that she's not a good mom, or that her child's not going to grow up well and loved and cared for and all of those things. Because as a mother, you tie all that stuff to your child growing up for some reason. That's what happens in society for whatever reason. And she just needs to come to that. And she hasn't yet. But people see her being this controlling, horrible, angry person. And that's not what it is. Anger's a subtext of what's going on. Something else is going on.
I just heard this in another podcast. And I can't remember. I think it was Endless Honeymoon. If anyone's listening to that, it's funny. It's a husband and wife comedian, and they're talking about it. But it's anger is just hot fear. Yeah. Fear is cold anger. Yeah. And so it's like, I think she's terrified. Yes. I think that's why she's she's scrambling. She's trying to like stay afloat. I understand her wanting to keep things together for her son. And I think that she does genuinely care about Benny, but it's dead in the water. It is. So hopefully they're able to resolve that and get some kind of support through separating. And last season, they did kind of help couples who didn't end up staying together. And I can't remember anyone's name, but it did happen, and it went great, and not great because they're breaking up, but it, as nice as it can be. But yeah, that was a rough one. And then we've got, so I messed up and I put the wrong people together. So with Ari and Benny was Stacy and Florian.
Oh yeah, Stacy and Florian were with Ari and Benny.
That's who it was.
My favorite. Stacy and Florian.
Amazing TV. Amazing TV. And the sweetest and best of of anyone going through this activity.
I love them so much.
I am shocked that I would never have said that I loved them.
I know.
As they're going up, they're giving support to Ari and Benny.
Oh, I know.
And because Ari is just struggling. Yeah. And Stacy's there for her. And a couple of the times Florian kind of takes Benny aside and is like, you need to try harder.
Mhm.
Like, if you want this to work, you have a son, you need to put
Mhm.
all of this aside and really put in the work. And Stacy and Florian were like, we're gonna adopt them.
Yeah.
I don't think they're old enough to adopt them.
Oh God, no.
But
No.
But that's sweet. It was very sweet. And Stacy in her cute little hiking outfit that she was like, oh no, my shoes are going to get ruined. And you're like, yeah, you're hiking. You're wearing hiking shoes. And she's like, I guess I'll just buy new ones.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. But the first part that I thought really like touched me, it starts raining as they're walking at one point. And Florian takes off his sweatshirt and he hands it to her so she doesn't have to get all wet, which was so sweet. But then goes right back to old, like, classic Florian where she puts it over her head and it looks like just like a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, I'm trying to save my extensions and my lashes. And he's like, why can't you wear it like a normal person? And she's like, spent a lot of money on this. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I know.
So continuing to be very dismissive and just over it with her. But then they go a little farther. At one point, one of the things that set off Ari and Vinny is that he gives her a piggyback ride. He gives Stacy a piggyback ride. And they're just being silly and having fun. You can see that they really enjoy each other. I really liked that. They're just having a good time. That, of course, set off Ari because Ari was like, give me a piggyback ride, Benny. And Benny was like, I don't want to. Ow, now the rock's in my back. And she's like, why can't we just do this? She's like, oh, God. But Stacy and Florian get up to the top, and Stacy's rock was trust. And they had the cheating scandal. Florian had previously cheated on her, and now she just doesn't trust him. And she doesn't know how to move through that. And she proceeds to have a mental breakdown. That was
the best one I've ever seen.
So good. So good.
On TV to date.
Constructive, hilarious,
totally
mildly
unprompted.
Insane. Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I also liked that she's got a lot of work done, and Jasmine in between the sheets was like, look at her Botox. That is good Botox, because her forehead does not move. It's amazing. And she's dripping in diamonds. She's got like bracelets and diamond watches and like stacks of rings. Oh, I like Stacy. I didn't think I liked Stacy. I genuinely enjoy her as a person. And she was like, I just feel like I want to trust you and I want to be able, she's holding the rock. She's like, I want to let this go. She's like crying and he's like, what the fuck is, he literally says to her, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Do you want me to looking at her like this? What are you doing?
What is going on?
And
he's like, do you want me to take the rock? Do you want me to take it? She's like, do you want to take it off of me? Do you want to take it off of me? And he's like, okay, I'll take it. No, you can have it. You can hold it. I don't want to hold it. I want it to go. I want to let go. I want to be free. Screaming. Can you imagine being one of the other hikers? No. Just like hearing that.
No. What is going on?
Full breakdown. He goes, do you want me to take the rock? Do you want the rock? What do you want? And he's like trying to like console her. And she goes, I'm trying to release. I'm releasing. I want to release together. And he's like, okay. And then she's like, oh, I need a hug. And he goes, I give you 10 hugs. Just stop. And like, so while it's not exactly, I don't know that they really fully communicated, and I don't know that he was completely tuned into comforting her. It was kind of sweet at the end. Like, she got to release, and she threw a rock. I don't remember what his rock was.
His rock, I think, was listen. He wants her to listen to him. That's because in the between the sheets, Heidi, the counselor, was watching it, and she was so sweet. She's like, "Oh my God, look at Stacy! Stacy is just, right? She's doing that, and Heidi is watching it, and Heidi's like, oh my God, look at Stacy. She's being so vulnerable right now. I just love this. Oh God, Florian, just give her a hug. Just, and it was so nice, and she was, talking over it. And then Josh is watching it, and Josh is laughing, and he's just moving in his chair, and he's like, Flo does not know what to do in this moment. And it was the funniest thing, him watching Stacy ugly cry. It was just the best. It was the freaking best. But no, Heidi was like, this is great. Stacy's being vulnerable, and Florian is giving her a hug, and this is really great moment for the two of them. And I really like watching that. And that's really great. I liked that about, the Between the Sheets, the after show, that you get to see, the other people watching these clips, and there's more context to it. And oh my God, it's just so great. That was just so great.
I really liked it. And he had a really interesting, he said he wants you to listen.
Yes.
He said, I want to get all of my thoughts out.
Yes.
Because she talks over and interrupts him all the time.
And that's what Heidi said. Heidi said, Florian does not want someone who's so dramatic. He loves Stacy, but he needs someone who's not dramatic. And Stacy is like up here dramatic level. And he needs her to be down here, not so dramatic. And so that's why he said, listen, I need you to listen and not be so dramatic all the time. And I don't think she can. I don't think she's wired that way. I don't think she can do it.
I know. I hope that she can hear that and make an effort to be more of an active listener and not talk over him but I think it's also like making sure that she sees him as a complete and whole person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seemed like they were starting to see each other's wholeness in that walk, and I liked that a lot. They left feeling great, and I really enjoyed that.
I think so.
But then of course later on in the night, as we saw on the Between the Sheets, she comes out in a very cute little like silky teddy and a robe, and she throws a red lacy bra at him. She's like, you want me to do a strip? And he's like, no.
Oh, there's cameras.
I'm tired.
No,
let's lay down. She's like, I went on the walk too. And he's like, well, I carried you. Oh.
Yeah.
But, poor guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
That sweet couple, I'm reserving judgment now. We listen and we do not judge for right now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right now. The last ones.
The best one for last.
Are last. Jasmine and Fedora.
Oh, Gino and Jasmine.
They,
spoiler alert, did not throw their rocks. They did not compromise everybody.
And who is surprised?
Right.
Who's surprised?
Who is surprised?
A lot happened between them.
Yes.
It seemed like they were going to do okay. They had gone up with Natalie and Josh.
Shocker.
And as they're going up, it seemed like they were actually having a kind of a good time. It seemed...
Started
really well. And then they get up to the top and you see the rocks. Jasmine's rock is independence. And what starts as independence, she's like, I want to be able to be myself. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a car. And she's like, I want you to support me in my independence. And he's like, I am supporting you. I supported you while you were in Panama. I've supported you completely financially here. Mm-hmm. I put a roof over your head. I pay for your food. I pay for your clothes. And she's like, well, I think the only compromise for this is if you get me a car. I need you to support me getting my license, and I need you to get me a car. That's my compromise, is a car. Can you imagine? And he's like, it's not a compromise. I can't afford to get you a car right now. And I do support you in a lot of ways. And she's like, no. And so they have a blow up over the fact that Gino is not going to buy her a car.
Yep.
I can understand how she feels trapped right now, right?
Yes.
I mean, she's in that house. Gino doesn't want to drive her around.
Yeah.
Plus, he's working.
Yep. Well, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with her. They don't have sex.
No.
He won't touch her.
No.
I mean,
no.
And then she can't go anywhere. And then when she does,
yeah,
right? Of course she's not going to tell him where she's going. I mean, goddamn. Of
well,
course she's going to punish him.
And what was Gino's? Again, I only
know.
paid attention to the women's rocks. Apparently, I don't think Gino got. He said, we're all gonna carry our rocks right back down because we're not gonna compromise on this." And they got angry and they trudged right back down.
I don't know what he wrote. I don't know.
We didn't even get to it.
No.
Because they exploded over the car.
Yeah.
And the next day, they get these big explosive fights. We've seen this all through all the seasons that they've been on. They get into these big explosive fights, and then they come back together, and they kind of like the next day they start making nice. And she looked hot. She's in this like
that's very pretty
macrame like dress 2-piece thing, and it's just showing off everything. She looked really hot. And she's like, thank you for making the bed nice, because they're not sleeping together in the bed. One of them sleeps on the couch, and one of them sleeps on the bed, and they switch off every night. And he had put the couch back together, and she's like, thank you so much for doing that. Which is, she comes in, she's trying to make peace. She looks real good. She's like, it would be really nice if we could enjoy the bed together. And he's like, well, I don't feel like we can do that right now.
I can't just do that.
Fedora.
I can't just jump into bed with someone. I'm going to throw a tantrum again.
I need to feel emotionally connected. And she's
for
like,
fuck's sake, these men.
And I really felt for her in that moment. Because she, I think, was genuinely trying to come in and reconnect and make peace and be vulnerable and soft with him. She didn't start screaming right away, but he just kind of immediately rejects her. She's like, I would like to cuddle. Yep. Like, I would like to enjoy the bed together. And he's like, no.
I don't want anything to do with
it. And he's like, I need to have emotional connection. And it's like, part of me really feels like, how dare he? Because she leads with her sexuality in everything, right?
Yep.
And she is throwing herself at him. And he's acting like he doesn't understand it. It's like, you knew exactly what you were getting into. I really resent that for her.
I know.
Because it's just not fair.
Yep.
So that sucked. And you're like, oh, poor thing. And she's like, I can't do this anymore. This isn't fair. I deserve happiness. And she's like crying. And I was just like, oh, Jasmine. And then she fucks it up. She walks out and she calls her friend from the gym, who's this dude who her husband doesn't even know exists. And she's crying to him about how mean Gino is. And he's like, don't let Gino trigger you like this. But also, you're there to work on... She's like, maybe I should just go. And he's like, no, you're there to work on your marriage. And you should really... And so you're like, is this her secret boyfriend? No. And then he's like, no, you need to be there to work on your marriage. And you're like, no, this is a good friend. And then he's like, what Gino needs to understand is that there are so many men that would jump at the chance to be with you. And you're like, why did you say that?
Yeah.
I think his name is Matt. My husband's name is Matt. It wasn't Matt that she was talking to on the phone, I'm pretty sure, though. But Matt, why did you say that? The whole thing.
Did it give you flashbacks of Dane when she was talking to him from their season? That's what it gave me flashbacks of. And then in between the sheets, the counselors are like, uh-oh, who is this guy? She has an emotional connection with this person. Mm-hmm. And emotional cheating is... just as bad.
And over, she's like, we've never done anything. I would never do anything inappropriate. And that's why I'm not telling Gino, because I know that it's fine and he would think something is happening that it's not. And you're like, they're like, no, it's happening. Whether or not you crossed a line with them physically, you're seeking out their emotional comfort instead of your spouse.
And they're low-key
And the fact that she's kept it...
implying that she is going, when she leaves the house and spends the night, I think they're low-key implying that she goes with this Mac guy.
I mean, 1 + 1 is 2
right.
is kind of what I'm seeing right there.
Yep.
So
Man, oh man, oh man.
I'm not... If she wants to leave Gino, leave Gino.
Totally. But you know, Gino, you are not being approached by Medusa or Ursula to have sex with you, sir. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your shit together. You are being approached by this, you know, blow-up doll that wants to have sex with you.
Jasmine just to see what it feels like. I want to know what her butt feels like. She says, everyone asks to touch my butt. I was like, I want to touch her butt. I want to touch her butt so bad. Her upside-down butt.
Upside-down butt. I know, right?
Gino tells everybody that her implants were put in wrong. They're put in upside down.
Does he know that?
Now she's a rectangle butt.
Whatever. I don't know. But still, you know, I mean, it just annoys me that he's throwing this stupid tantrum. Again, he's not being approached to have sex by Medusa, right? She is not some ugly troll from underneath the bridge, dude. Get it together.
And she was coming to him, not even forcing, like, the sex issue. She was like, I would like to enjoy the bed with you. Like, I'd like to cuddle. And he's like, no. And you're just... And then the between the sheets thing, when he said that he was like, I would have sex with you. And he was talking to Josh. Do you remember that? They were like, who was the most likely to be a porn star? And Josh was like, we could do it. And he's like, yeah, I would have sex with you. And you're like, oh, it was weird. It was super weird.
That's right.
Gino, I mean, I am completely... He needs to figure himself out.
Yeah.
I think there's something going on that Gino is not ready to explore about himself going on.
I can see that.
But I think we all see it. I think he overcompensated with Jasmine. I think that's why he spent so much money on that. And I think... I don't know. I just always think of him slapping her butt when she came... And they were in Florida. Do you remember that? And he was like, ooh, sexy baby. And then he slaps her. And it was the most awkward slap. Oh. Is it weird that I say that to my cats and then I smack them? Sexy baby. It's just because it was the least sexual thing I've ever seen in my life.
God.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So, I feel not too hopeful about them. And you have to watch the Between the Sheets because it fills in a lot of gaps. And it also gives us a lot more information about what's going on between the couples.
Oh, yeah. It's really good.
And it's giving us a lot of little spoilers about upcoming episodes. It looks like they're all going to go out to the bars and go dancing together because they had a day off after.
Yes. I can't wait.
After the hike. It looks insane. There's everything. Glass throwing, dancing on the bars, maybe a fist fight.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And I'm almost like a little nervous because it's like a boss level fight, I think, that we're going to see. Like our two bosses, we've got Natalie versus Jasmine, people.
Natalie's just shooting daggers and just staring at her, not even moving. And Jasmine's looking at her saying, you want crazy? You got crazy.
I'm crazy.
I'm right here.
You apologize to me or else. And
I got goosebumps just saying that. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that.
And Florian's trying to hold her back.
I know it. Oh, 95 pounds of him. I mean, stop it.
I don't know how. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm really excited about that. I think everything is going to come out about how Josh was sending Sophie messages.
And I think he's going to blame her. It's just going to be this slut-shaming thing all over. Absolutely it is.
Yeah. Which I feel like is a hint that at the end of the day, Josh is still with Natalie if he's still willing to throw Sophie under the bus for the messages that he fucking sent. Josh is such a slime ball. And And he's got terrible tattoos. Although, worst tattoos go to Rob the Knob, I think. Everyone look at the tattoos and decide if you would rather have Rob's blue flame love tattoo or a strawberry shortcake tramp stamp.
Stop it! You be nice.
I love it. It's a good one. I think I would rather have the strawberry shortcake.
Because there's going to be more. I'm getting more. Oh, boy. So long this week.
It was a long one this week. Sorry, everybody. But there's a lot to go over.
Yeah.
We'll see what we'll see what we have next week. We'll definitely be doing Last Resort some more and see what else we can fit in.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know. But
okay.
All right. Thank you. I miss you.
I miss you. See you next week.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.